51% of adults younger than 30 years old say an open marriage with multiple partners is perfectly acceptable. She lives with her husband, 2 kids, and her boyfriend. How's that working for you? What do you think about thruples? Is it me or is that crazy? Do you date others?
I do.
So this isn't just a throuple, this is a throuple plus.
We operate like a normal family.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I was stumbling around one night and I found myself on Bill Maher, and he asked me what I thought about the increased popularity of polyamory and thruples. You may have seen my reaction. I said, it's insane. Tonight I'm going to tell you why I said that, but many people don't agree with me. Be the first time that ever happened. In the last 50 years, marriage rates in the United States have dropped by nearly 60%. Did y'all know that? 1/3 of America's single population has engaged in polyamory or consensual non-monogamy. And 51% of adults younger than 30 years old say an open marriage with multiple partners is perfectly acceptable. I'm not under 30. What happened to finding your true love, settling down, having children, and getting married, growing old together? Is monogamy dead? Is marriage a thing of the past? If it is, we've got issues. Now, before we dig in, I want to call in somebody who knows a thing or two about love and dating. And I do this because I haven't been on a date with someone new in 50 years, which is a good thing, right? I'm calling in my good friend, Chris Harrison. You may remember Chris from the Bachelor franchise, and I'm proud to say he's now part of my new network, Married TV. Chris has been that soft shoulder to cry on for countless contestants on their quest to find love and a walk down the aisle. I sent him on an assignment to find out why some millennials and Gen Zers are running from the idea of marriage. Take a look.
Ladies, how we doing?
Good.
See you. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm just curious, especially as a newlywed, is marriage dead?
Dating in this day and age is terrible. And so the idea of trying to find someone to make that commitment to is overwhelming, and I'm not sure if I want to get married.
I think historically, women had to be married, and I think that's starting to change now. And I recently bought a house. I'm 24, I'm single. And so I don't think that marriage is essential for me.
Is that something you're agreeing with?
I do agree with that. I got married at 19.
Okay.
So I had that pressure of getting married, and I did, but I have been in a long-term relationship. We talk about marriage sometimes, but it's not a priority in our relationship. A lot of us come from broken homes, and that's what we know, and there's a fear behind marriage.
Is having children within a marriage important to you?
I think that if I could be married and have a kid, that'd be great, but it's also something that I'm prepared to do by myself later down the road.
Is polyamory something that's gaining popularity in this generation?
In my personal life, I haven't seen it, but I have seen it on social media.
Oh yeah, on TikTok, I
TikTok?
see there's this one throuple that always comes up in my page.
Yeah.
I definitely am monogamous in my relationships, but it seems to be more and more women are maybe getting out of a relationship. Maybe the dating game is too intimidating for them.
Chris, have you ever been on a dating app?
No, I have
It's
not.
so bad.
Is it horrible?
It's horrible. It's awful. Like,
And it takes romance out of it. Like when your first interaction with someone is through a message versus meeting them face to face.
So maybe marriage isn't dead. Maybe romance is dead.
Yes, we need an overhaul on romance, for sure.
yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, welcome Chris Harrison.
Thank you.
Did anything surprise you when you sat down with Abigail, Rebecca, and Courtney?
What surprised me is almost the despair of, like I said at the end there, maybe marriage isn't dead, but romance is. In my vast experience on The Bachelor, I started to ask the contestants, who are beautiful, intelligent, successful, just like these three women, why are you here? And they said, do you know how bad it is out there? And that romance and dating has changed. The apps have made it so easy. It's like we're at a buffet and we can grab what we want and discard what we want, and it's right at our fingertips. They haven't seen successful marriages. A lot of these kids come from broken homes. They haven't seen how romance and love actually works. And the idea of maybe the American dream is unattainable now, that you can't buy the house, you can't get the white picket fence and the dog and the 2 kids. It's not as easy as it was.
Well, they're certainly not trying as much. So, Abigail, do you think that this dream can be fulfilled?
I don't think it's unattainable. I just think it is harder than it once was, right? My friends and I, we go out in public and try to meet people that way too, or we're on the dating apps, and it's not the same. People don't approach people in public anymore. And then the dating apps, it is very much a like, oh, we're gonna send 5 messages and then be done with this person and move on.
Dr. Phil, something very interesting. I asked these 3 women, when was the last time you were actually hit on, approached, and asked out in person? They all said back in college, high school, or even 5 years ago.
Really? So how do you go on dates?
I think now there is a reliance on the dating apps. I think ideally in this world, we would be set up through friends or meet people naturally in person, but that's just not happening. And that's what I was talking to Chris about yesterday. I would love to meet someone, but I'm also now comfortable by myself and independent because I just don't know if that's going to happen for me naturally, and I'm not willing to compromise what I want.
Are you shocked when people put one picture up that doesn't look like them and then they show up? I always thought under promise and over deliver.
Right.
But no, seriously.
You're right.
But other people put up, it looks like their little brother.
Yeah.
And then they show up and look like Fido's ass. Courtney says she doesn't want to be dependent on someone else and vice versa. Courtney, what do you mean?
A lot of younger people are realizing that you don't have to rush into marriage. We have a choice now, and we can go and have careers. We can focus on education, and I think that that's happening a lot more. And I think it's really important, maybe not for everyone, but to be financially independent before you consider marriage, like being able to not just start from scratch and build that. I think a lot of people are looking at that, knowing that if for some reason it doesn't work out, that they have their education to fall back on. They have those things that are lined up and in order. That way, it keeps you from being able to take care of yourself and not have to rely on someone.
You know, that'll intimidate a lot of men, right? Because then they don't know what they've got to offer you.
If you're intimidated, then next. A lot of us from my generation, I grew up in the Bible Belt, so we were pushed into marriage at a young age. It was as soon as you had your first serious boyfriend that, people were starting to talk marriage. And instead of being like, what are you going to pursue for your education? What's your next steps in life? It's, when are you going to get married? And I think that that's not okay. That needs to change.
Well, that has changed, apparently, because marriage has dropped off a lot. What do you think about thruples? I got to ask that question on TV.
It doesn't end well.
Yeah, it doesn't end well, does it?
No.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back and talk to a real-life throuple. Now, she lives with her husband, 2 kids, and her boyfriend. So I'm going to ask the question that I'm famous for asking, how's that working for you? And you might be surprised at their answer. We'll talk to them next. I spent countless nights tossing and turning, waking up exhausted and feeling behind on everything that mattered. But then I found Beam's Dream Powder. It's a science-backed, healthy nighttime blend packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Now, Dream is made with a powerful blend of all-natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Beam has already improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. Here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of 40% off. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Dr. Phil and use code Dr. Phil for up to 40% off. Support an American company. Invest in yourself and start getting your best sleep tonight. Attention sleep lovers, if you've been dreaming of upgrading your bedding, now is the time to make it happen. Cozy Earth is celebrating World Sleep Week with an exclusive deal just for my listeners. A massive 45% off their award-winning sleep essentials. From March 14th through 16th only. You can save almost half off the softest, most luxurious sheets, ultra cozy blankets, and their famous PJs, crafted for next-level comfort. Cozy Earth premium fabrics are temperature regulating and moisture wicking, keeping you cool, dry, and sleeping deeper all night long. Trust me, these sheets are the softest you'll ever feel. But hurry, this huge 45% off deal is only valid March 14th through 16th. Don't miss out. Go to CozyEarth.com and use my code PHIL at checkout. That's CozyEarth.com, code PHIL. Better sleep starts at Cozy Earth.
I grew up in an evangelical Christian family. Religion is so important to me and Daniel and the kids.
They're welcoming and accepting of who we are.
I didn't have to give up God in order to pursue polyamory.
Well, do you know what polyamory is? It's when partners in a romantic relationship agree to date other people, and those people can date other people, and everybody's out in the open about who they're partnering with, so they don't consider it cheating. Could you handle that? Could your children handle that? Now, Jennifer, her husband of 16 years, Daniel, and her live-in boyfriend of 4 years, Ty, say they happily practice polyamory and live as a throuple. Now, that's like a couple, but 3 people are in the relationship. Well, I'll let them explain.
Monogamy is a concept that does not fit every relationship. Definitely does not fit mine. Daniel and I got married August 8th, 2008.
We decided on polyamory after a lot of discussion.
I started developing other crushes on someone, and then it was in December of 2015, when our kids were 5 and 3, we started actively doing more polyamorous dating.
I had my first polyamorous relationship in 2016.
Ty and I had about 4 or 5 dates before I brought him home to meet Daniel and the rest of my family.
I think Ty's cool.
Ty and I decided that we never wanted to be separated.
When Jennifer brought up the subject of Ty moving in, to me it just made a lot of sense.
But once there were 3 streams of income, the quality of life for everyone, I think, greatly improved.
If mom and dad are busy doing work, then I can just ask Ty, hey, can you check my room? Because adults check if our rooms are clean to allow us to get on screens.
It would have been pretty close to impossible to buy a house in just a monogamous relationship.
We had a down payment of more than $20,000, and we never would have been able to afford this house without Ty. I would never go back to a monogamous relationship.
Never.
Never.
I'm always curious about this when I'm talking to somebody that expands their relationship. How did you bring this up the first time? I mean, you're like sitting at dinner, lunch, and you say, say, Daniel, what would you think about dealing another guy into this? How do you bring that up?
So it didn't quite go like that, but I never cheated on Daniel, but I had been struggling just with developing not just like attraction, but actual like romantic, deep feelings for other people. And I didn't do anything about it. I didn't tell anybody. But eventually I sat down, Daniel and I were on a date, and I said, Daniel, I love you and I don't want to leave you. You know, it wasn't that I wasn't satisfied in my relationship with Daniel, But I was like, I don't know if I can do monogamy forever. I don't know what to do with these feelings. I had never heard the word polyamory before. I grew up very conservative. And so we didn't just dive right in. I didn't have anybody in mind. We just, we went to therapy. We started reading books. We started researching. We started going to local polyamory groups. And we took it pretty seriously, like slowly and openly.
She just said a real key word in there. She said, Daniel, I love you, but. And but means, forget everything I just said. Now I'm going to tell you what I really think. And she said, I love you, but I'm having trouble envisioning being with just you for the rest of my life.
Yeah, the first conversation was surprising, but I also felt respected because if she wanted to cheat, she could have. And if she wanted to sleep around and mess around, she could have. But instead, she came to me. Instead, she talked to me. She said, I care about your feelings. And not only does she care about feelings, she values the relationship that we've already built together. And for that, I think it made all of the difference in the world. Like, to be able to be honest, because we had this relationship that was built on honesty and trust, and to be able to be honest about these feelings and not break my trust, I think was huge. And I think it was the big help that conversation go well.
Do you date others?
I do.
You do. So you're part of this, sort of.
I'm in it. Like, I live with Jennifer, I live with Daniel. We all contribute equally to the household and to the responsibilities for raising children. I'm just as a part of the family as anybody else.
Do you date other people?
Very occasionally.
Oh, so this isn't just a throuple, this is a throuple plus.
I would say the people who live under our roof always take priority. We operate like a normal family.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I would say that. I would say we operate like a normal family. We take our kids to school. We prioritize our family. I meal plan each week. We do chores together. We work out how to pay bills together. We have our jobs. And
how do you know where to sleep?
That's a great question.
We have a schedule.
We have a schedule. So every 2 nights, I have a little basket of like my toiletries, anything that you keep on your nightstand, the book that I'm reading, my night creams, my makeup removers, and I will take it to Ty's room, and then 2 nights later, I will take it to Daniel's room.
Oh, are you also dating other people?
Yes.
Oh, so this is an all-skate. So all 3 of you are seeing other people as well as each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Some critics say non-monogamy is all about lack of commitment. Jennifer says that's just not true. It's actually the complete opposite. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
If you're getting into polyamory for a lack of commitment, I've got some news for you. I now have to honor 2 different serious relationships simultaneously. So it's more commitment, not less commitment. I know definitely when people hear polyamory, the number one thing they think about is sex. But I'm here to tell you, I have never had a threesome with these people right here next to me. Not once.
It's very much a normal relationship, except there's a lot more calendars and coordinating schedules.
I sleep with Daniel, and then I sleep with Ty, and I go between 2 bedrooms.
Jennifer has a 2-night-long shift, I suppose.
Shift. I've never heard it referred to as a shift.
She takes her little basket, goes between the 2.
This has my pills, lotions, my makeup remover.
It's pretty much a normal relationship, just extra.
You say you move every 2 nights from one bedroom to another?
Yes.
What if you don't feel like moving yet? I mean, because you can't legislate emotions. You certainly can't calendar them.
My duty as, the partner of both Ty and Daniel to have an egalitarian household, I take very seriously. Only on very rare occasions, like maybe somebody's birthday or something, would I ever go off the calendar, because it is so important for me to keep things fair between both Ty and Daniel. I want them to both feel loved and both feel honored and both feel respected by me.
Do you think this is healthy for your sons?
Yeah, I don't think it affects them in any way. They're more concerned about like playing, Roblox or video games or, cartoons or anything like that.
You're a newlywed.
Yes. Seems really old and conventional now.
Not at all.
Nope.
Did you guys ever talk about this at all?
No, sir, we did not. I'll be honest, it sounds exhausting. And as someone who dated, I was married, got divorced, and got remarried to this amazing, beautiful woman who I love, I don't understand, how jealousy won't ever rear its ugly head, how someone won't get hurt at some point, and what that covenant is in this relationship.
I would say the most thing that would cause me jealousy is they go to a restaurant that I want to go to with their other partner instead of me. It's nothing like, oh, I'm mad that someone else loves you. In fact, there's an emotion called compersion, which is considered the opposite of jealousy, which is that you feel good for someone else experiencing happiness. And I would say I experienced that for both Ty and Daniel, that it makes me happy that other people can love them and see them the way that I do.
You just don't want them to love them at that restaurant.
That's right.
What happens if you and Ty break up?
We had a long conversation on what that would look like, because once you become involved in my children's life, he is a parent to my children, and he is attached to them for life. It does not matter what happens between Ty and I, he will be involved in my children's lives forever. And I know that because he has proven in past experiences, he still checks in on his ex-girlfriend's kids from past relationships. And his name, we have gone through legal documents. If something happened to both Daniel and I, our kids would go to Ty in case of custody issues. This is a really serious commitment, and we took it extremely as seriously as you could take it.
Would you get nervous if they broke up? Because she said, I love you, but I need a booster.
No, I wouldn't get nervous if they broke up. I would be sad. I would also be heartbroken. I would be, doing my best to be a comfort and a resource. But yeah, I wouldn't be nervous at all. I think we have, Jennifer and I's relationship has never felt more reliable.
And I would say I am just as committed to Jennifer as if I were married to her. In the event that there's any sort of insane disagreement that we would break up, I would still take on that responsibility to ensure that the kids are taken care of, ensure that finances are secure, that no one gets the boot, essentially, in that way.
Jennifer says she was surprised at how accepting her family was to the news of her lifestyle choice, but she says she still gets judged by strangers. We'll talk about that next. Life is full of surprises, and emergencies often strike when we least expect them. But preparation is key, and that's where Jace Case comes in. With Jace Case, you'll have essential emergency prescription medications right at your fingertips, ready when you need them most. Whether it's an unexpected illness or a travel mishap, having the right meds on hand can turn a potential crisis into just a minor inconvenience. Don't let the unexpected catch you off guard. Jace Case gives you peace of mind so you can tackle life surprises with confidence. Be ready. Take charge today. Head over to jace.com. That's JASE.com. And when you check out, use the code PHIL, spelled PHIL, to get a discount on your order and to have the right meds on hand the moment you need them. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free Precious Metals Guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today.
My parents have really surprised me in how accepting they've become of Ty. My parents even put out a Christmas stocking for Ty. And my mom posts family pictures that include Ty all the time. Even though all her friends are also conservative Christians, she still is proud to show off her family.
Monogamy is a great option for a lot of people, but polyamory is a viable alternative.
What's interesting about polyamory is that everybody agrees. They're totally honest about it. They believe it can work. Their only real problem is that the human animal is not built for this. The human brain is just simply not built to share.
There are some who don't believe a polyamorous relationship can work. Statistics suggest that it doesn't work, but a lot of marriages don't work either. Devin still is a positive psychology practitioner who specializes in didactic relationships, including romantic relationships and parenting. And on the other side of the debate is Dr. Elizabeth Sheff. She has a PhD in sociology and has written multiple books about polyamory and ethical non-monogamy. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Devin, what do you think about the whole paradigm?
Well, first, I understand the logic behind it. I think right now we live in a society where a lot of people are financially insecure and they're trying to find ways that they can solve that problem because certain things weren't put in place for a lot of millennials and Gen Zs to succeed. Even with me and my wife, when we first got married, we came from broken homes. We didn't understand what it took to have a successful marriage. So wherever there's ignorance, there's experimentation. So we started off experimenting with marriage and we were struggling, we were failing. But we turned towards each other and said, look, this is not going right, but we need to find a way to correct it instead of turning away from each other and trying to fulfill needs outside of our marriage. I listened to earlier, they said that he respected the trust that she had when she came to him. But I think the trust really starts when you initially start to have those emotions. You come to each other in the beginning so that you can find a way to solve that problem rather than allowing it to fester over time to the point where you're already ready to bring new people into the relationship.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Sheff, you tried polyamory personally. It did not work for you.
No, I've tried it twice, in fact. I've tried to be polyamorous for about 30 years or so, different ways.
That's a fair test.
Yeah, gave it a good try. And just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean that it can't work for other people. In fact, I would say that for some people, polyamory works far better for them than does monogamy.
So do you recommend this to people? Because you know the statistics are that the vast majority of polyamorous relationships fail, correct?
I would disagree. In my data, I see durable, lasting, very long-lasting relationships for more decades. I've had people in my research in 70-year polyamorous relationships. So those kind of durable, healthy, happy relationships, they don't get a lot of press because they're kind of boring. People spend more time folding laundry than they do having orgies in the kitchen. They never have orgies in the kitchen.
Well, you may have anecdotal circumstances where they last for 60 or 70, but you know that the overall research suggests that the rate of failure in polyamorous relationships is higher than it is for traditional marriages. Do you disagree with that?
I disagree with how are you characterizing failure?
They break up.
A relationship takes a certain form.
They break up. Well, there have been studies that have been done. This Chapman University has done studies on this. Have you seen that data?
Oh, yes. Dr. Amy Moore's research, I've read quite a bit. She's fantastic.
Well, according to a study by Chapman University and the Kinsey Institute, there's a 92% failure rate in open marriages. 80% of the people in open marriages experience jealousy. More than 70% of the people who had polyamorous relationships said they would not be in another, and that possessiveness, emotional aspects make it difficult to navigate. And that's from your Chapman
My colleague,
University.
Dr. Morse, yes.
Yeah. So do you disagree with those numbers?
I'm not refuting her findings.
Okay, good. When we come back, the traditional American family is broken and under attack. Is polyamory contributing to the problem? We'll talk about that next.
Do you have friends that are total anti-relationship, anti-marriage?
I mean, I can think of several friends immediately that haven't been in a relationship in probably 10 years that are in their 40s.
I feel fulfilled by my life right now. Like, I don't feel like I need somebody in it. I have my apartment that I love, and I get to travel, and I love my job.
And that's what a relationship should be, by the way. It should be a value add to your life, not a necessity.
Yes.
Tonight we're discussing whether or not monogamy is a tradition that has just really changed, gone out of style, no longer the case. Devin, is this just outdated, changing with the times because we have people that are approaching relationships differently? When I was growing up, you worked your way through the relationship hierarchy differently. Your mom will take, my mom will pick up. You go through puppy love. You go through all that stuff for a while. Now that's all jumped over. They start later and go further faster. Devin, has it just become outdated?
No, I think to your point, a lot of people think that marriage is dead, but I think it really depends on your perception of things. I'll give you an example. When I first moved into my house, our lawn was brown. And I told my wife, we got to get some new grass in here, get all this grass out of here because it's dead. Well, we brought somebody in and they say, look, it's not dead, it's dormant. You're just not watering the grass enough. So we're going to set up a way for you to water the grass. A couple of months later, it was green again. It's the same thing with marriage. A lot of people think that marriage is dead because they don't know how to water it properly. But the moment you take out the time to learn how to do it, it can come back to life.
You watering the grass?
7 days a week.
Braggart.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
You guys took that a very dark way, but I think what Devin said is it really rings true with what I talked to the three ladies about. Is there is I want to have my cake and eat it too mentality. It's almost like a drug addiction. You get that first high, and then you got to do more, and the high doesn't last as long. You got to do more, and the high doesn't last as long, and you're chasing something that is inevitably empty, and you're going to come up empty. And that's what the statistics show.
Let me ask both of you, if you're going to pursue this from a polyamorous standpoint, that sounds to me like a long word for dating. Why get married?
That's a great question to ask. So, because I got married, I was engaged at 19 to like my first serious boyfriend that I had at 18, very common in my very evangelical home. I got married at 20. I had 2 kids by 25. I tried to do everything, by the standard American, typical heterosexual marriage. And then, I found that I wanted something more. I was looking for polyamory, and now, and I'm still married. And now, why get married? I think you should get married. I have nothing against monogamy. My parents are in a loving monogamous relationship. So is my sister. So is most everybody I know. That's the best way to legally connect yourself to someone, especially if you have children. But, a lot of us, we have just different definitions and an expanding definition of what love can look like.
If you knew then what you know now, would you have gotten married then?
Absolutely. I love Daniel, and me not loving Daniel has never been a problem.
Would you have waited a little while? Would you have matured some, maybe looked at some other career options, done some different things in your life before you got married at a young age?
Maybe. I wouldn't recommend other people go out and get married at 19 or 20, not just because of you don't know what you want, but because it's so difficult financially, and we struggled financially. We struggled to get our lives together, but I also don't regret it. I would choose Daniel every day, all the time. And I love the timeline that we ended up on. So I have no regrets.
What do you say is the point of getting married if you want to have multiple relationships?
I would say that not everyone does get married. Some polyamorists are very much against marriage. They feel like as an institution, it is corrupt. For other polyamorists, marriage is a recognizable form of commitment. So they feel that it creates a container for them, that their relationship is recognizable to each other and to other family members.
Yeah. And it is changing. I mean, it's dropped tremendously in the last several decades. It's dropped off, 60%?
And we talk about marriage and monogamy as if they're the same thing, but they're not. We really have never expected monogamy of men. Wealthy and powerful men.
Oh, it depends on who you're talking
every
to.
society. If men act monogamously, then they get, oh my God, you're so amazing. How fantastic. You're a superstar. And if they don't act monogamously, they get, well, boys will be boys. I think the big difference with polyamory is now women are actually choosing multiple partners as well. And that is historically quite unusual. One husband with multiple wives. That across history is far more common, again, for wealthy and powerful men than monogamy.
Yeah, well, some women damn sure expect it and don't give brownie points for it. It's just expected. Promise you. Coming up, how can we encourage Gen Zers and millennials that marriage is a good thing? I'm a proponent of marriage. I'm a proponent of procreation for a reason. I'll ask Devin what he thinks about it when we come back. I want to talk about tradition for a minute. I'm promoting this because as a society, we've got birth rates dropping really fast right now. We've got birth rates at like 1.6, some subgroups 1.3. People are not having children like they have in the past. It takes 2.1 to sustain our infrastructure in America, which is one of the reasons I'm so pro-immigration. We need people in this country to support the infrastructure that we have in America. So I think it's healthy for society. What do you think?
I think that if we want people to strive to get married again one day, we have to model healthy and long-lasting relationships in front of them. Like you talked about before, marriage was pushed on you. Anytime something is pushed on you without telling you why it's important to do or showing you the benefits of doing it, you may act a certain way in front of those authority figures, but when you get on your own, you want to experiment and find things out on your own. I have 3 beautiful daughters, 13, 4, and 1. And every day, me and my wife, we show them an example of a strong and healthy relationship so that one day they want that. We're not going to tell them that they need to get married. They're going to want it because they see what it has done for me and my wife. So I think if we take the responsibility as adults, as couples, to show them the healthy side of marriage, more people will want it, because I think we're inundated on social media, on TV, about how terrible marriage is, how monogamy doesn't work, how monogamy or marriage is broken. But there's a lot of broken people trying to make marriage work. And until we fix ourselves and really start to show the example to our younger generation, we won't be able to fix marriage.
Yeah.
Kind of piggyback on what Devin's saying is, it's true. People need to see something to achieve it. And if you don't know happiness, love, marriage, whatever it is, then I think there is experimentation for a lot of reasons with polyamory, whatever label we want to put on it. But I think it is important for my kids, Devin's kids, I agree, to see love, relationships, that strength. And the statistics show kids are much more successful when they have that environment, when they grow like that. I think that after talking to the 3 women yesterday, a bromance being dead, everything's on our apps. And we even talked about polyamory. And these 3 women I talked to were not into polyamory, but they said, that is what I'm seeing on social media. That's cool. It's what's going to get clicks on the algorithm. It's what is going to be presented to your daughters when they're on social media. They're not going to see a happy, boring married couple. Polyamory is cool. That's hip. That's what's going to get clicks on social media. And that's what these women are being inundated with. That's what our kids are going to see as well.
I'm not polyamorous because it's cool or interesting. When I started feeling feelings of non-monogamy, I didn't know a single polyamorous person. It certainly wasn't online. I had only ever been raised with a traditional model of marriage. And for me, I do raise my kids in a loving, stable environment. And we want to demonstrate to them that not only can they grow up to find someone to love them, whether it's in monogamy or non-monogamy, but they can find loving and caring community, adults, and romantic partnerships, whatever they may look like. And I'm so blessed to be able to give that to my children.
All right, my final thoughts when we come back. We've been talking about relationships, traditional marriage versus a three-way relationship. And you mentioned what kids are seeing on social media, Chris, and they can see it other places too. And my final thoughts are this. You have to decide what values you want to define your family. And I'm the least judgmental person I've ever met. And that doesn't mean that I might agree with everything you agree with, but I will tell you this. I spent a lot of years of my professional career working in the litigation arena and dealing with juries. And a lot of times I would see lawyers up in front of the judge's bench trying to get a critical piece of evidence in, and it would get disallowed. And they would come back and say, well, we didn't get that in, but the jury knows we have something really powerful. And I think that really landed with them. And I would say, no, it didn't. Juries make up their minds based on what they see and hear, not on what they don't see and hear. And the same thing is true with your children. If you want your children to put together a value system that's consistent with what you think is important, then you need to make sure that you're presenting that option to them. Now, I'm not saying that you program them like a computer. They're going to get lots of input because they're going to be on the computer. They're going to be on social media. My point is, you're not going to be the only voice in your child's ear. So you need to make sure you're the best voice in your child's ear. You need to make sure you're not a silent factor on any important issue in their lives. Just make sure that you're heard, because if all they're getting is something that hasn't been vetted, curated, they're writing on a blank slate. Make sure that slate is not blank. Make sure what you think is important, what you think are core values, you've communicated clearly to your child. They're going to make up their own mind. They should make up their own mind. But make sure that you've been a voice in your child's ear about what's important. And it's not just about what you say, it's about what you do. You can sit down, talk to your kids, and they roll their eyes. You say, oh, my kids never listen, but they always watch. Just like Devin said, that you are powerful role models in your child's ear. What are you modeling? Are you modeling passion in your relationship, or are you just kind of in an emotionally barren home and you're showing them what they don't want? Ask yourself, what kind of role model am I being? Am I showing them something that they would aspire to? And if you're not, you need to think about that. My parents were married for 50 plus years when my dad passed away. Robin's parents had been married 50 plus years when her mother passed away. And it is true, children learn what they live. So be careful what you role model for them. I want to thank Chris Harrison for being here. Devin, thank you for being here. Dr. Elizabeth Schiff, thank you for being here and bringing your point of view. And really all of my guests tonight. You can pick up my book, We've Got Issues, How You Can Stand Strong for America's Soul and Sanity. It's a New York Times bestseller, and it's on sale now everywhere books are sold. We will see you tomorrow night. Thank you so much.